Welcome. I didn't know I was going to receive the path to your best life. It's not something I set out to do in my life, but that is what's happened. And I'm saying you because if you're a human person, then I've received that path to your best life because that exists in your consciousness. And as we live as humans, we figure out different ways of coming to understand that because that is our individual experience. We don't know who's going to discover it. I certainly didn't think it was me, even though it kept showing up and I kept denying it, which you might have done in your life. The thing that you felt you were supposed to do or wanted to do or maybe believed that you were meant to create, it's still there and you feel it. And eventually you say, it's too uncomfortable not to become myself. And that's what I'm doing today. It's June the 3rd, and it's been an interesting day because I got up and realized that there was a email I needed to answer because someone discovered my work through Wilhelm. They discovered that and said, I want to know more, and they may be an agent for me, and that's why I was doing a video earlier today. And as I finished that video, I said, oh, let me look at what's tomorrow. I'm saying this because I've said before I was not a regular channel. I wasn't doing things like in that traditional way. And none of us are doing anything in a traditional way. We're not meant to. We're supposed to be unique. But becoming unique and becoming yourself can be a little bit of a journey because we have to move through the old ideas about who we thought we were, and the old ideas about who the world thought we could become. That's always the case for each of us, and we decide how we're going to work with that. But then you discover that you have this purpose, you have this life purpose, and it's always there. Every single human has that. Just shows up at different times and within your life, but also within our world. And today I was said it has to show up today for me. So when I looked at the message from last year on June 3rd, it says, you can choose abundance today. And we do that when we choose ourselves, when we choose to become who we are. And that is a process, a gradual process, actually, that we go through every day. We move through it every day, every moment. And then one day it kind of makes sense. And it's like, okay, this is who I am. But sometimes you might run from that, as I tried to do today. Because see, when I first saw the first message and then I'm done, I recorded my video and I said, okay, that's it. Then I happened to look at June the 4th, and then that was the real answer. Because see, it said again, yes, we gave you that way for your better life and a better world. And the reason that is there, when we talk about a better world or changing something, it's us. It's nobody out there. It's always us. But we have to decide, are we going to embody that higher portion of ourselves? Are we going to think that we matter, or are we going to believe it? I had a hard time with belief because I'm being told that I created the most transformative personal development system ever seen. The person who came from being frightened my entire life, having all kinds of difficulties and challenges, all kinds of medical issues, everything. And then now to be 75 and going in a completely different direction. And I had to come up with something, a way to explain that because I didn't know. But now it's been explained because it's science. So to be the first person to marry what we know of intuition and consciousness, and then taking the sciences that we know, like neuroscience, cognitive behavior training, and then infusing that with the idea of ascension or spirituality, putting it together, and then finding the organization of our universe and saying, oh, wait a minute, everyone has a place. Everyone has a DNA connection to our world because everything, again, is energy. And we can't find where there were certain people who were born who didn't have that connection. We were just taught something else. We can't find it. I resisted doing Wilhelm channelings for the longest time because I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to put myself out there. And then I had to in 2021 because it became too evident what I had done. And this is going to be one of the greatest stories that told that no one has ever seen, because I'm, again, sitting here in this disbelief that I could be in this body at this age and seeing things in a new way, and that I've done something that no other human had accomplished. And accepting that took a while, just as it will for you, though, because you have something else. You've got something else that you're meant to bring to the world. I'm just here for this bit of time, and I bring this in to give it to you so that you can create something great. Now, again, it doesn't matter who you are. That's the thing that I thought in the beginning. Could this be just working for some people? And that was part of what I answered in the questions going back to the agency today. No, this is for any person who wants to become more, who wants to evolve, who wants to live their greatest life, who wants to keep going, who wants to become intellectually curious as to what's possible for them. And the rest of us will stay afraid and hidden. And I almost could have done that. But it became too uncomfortable to hide, because then your life doesn't go well. You don't think you have any purpose. You didn't. That's never true. And so I'm going to prove it to so many people, and I'm going to do it today. Because I told everyone I'm changing everything, which I am doing. However, I still left a few slots because I wanted certain people to try this. And I'll tell you, I'm going to show you this so you will understand what I'm talking about. There is not a single reason for any person to be struggling or suffering, except I was just being quiet. I'm sitting here holding the solution that I received, but because it was so bizarre the way I did this, that I couldn't own it, and other people knew that as well. So I'm just going to take you through a part of this, because I'm not going to make this really long, because I want you to understand it so you can look at the other information and decide if you're going to become your best self, because I guarantee that that can happen. I doubted myself as well. And so I'm going to show you some of this evidence of what came up. But first of all, I'm going to show you the message that came through on this date a year ago, which will give you a little bit of a precursor to everything else. But I'm just going to show you this because I'm going to document all of this. And this work is going to be studied at some point, because when you do something in history no one has seen, it needs to be known by others. And so that's what I'll be doing next. So this is that message from a year ago. You can choose abundance today. It is a choice you each make, and as we have also mentioned, you are undergoing the restructuring of yourself and your world. It is a generational shift, and more of you are meant to embody the energy of abundance when you become your authentic selves. It is a journey each soul makes, and you do so in cycles. We began in 2008. When you view the message we provided on this day and compare it to what we offered last year, more of you will make that choice. Now, I don't know what last year was, but you will see it all here. But the last year was this. And it leads me to, will lead you to another year. Abundance is always a choice, and that was June 3rd of 2024. And then again, more messages were here, but they all talk about the same theme. And then you might, if you study astrology or any of those sciences, you might look around today, if online or on YouTube or something, and seeing a lot of people talking about abundance. I've never studied astrology. I never looked at any of that, but I do know that everything is energy. And so what was happening is that my brain was accessing information, consciousness from beyond what I could have possibly known. And so for all of those years, 37 years, that I'm receiving this, not knowing what was happening. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you realize that you're holding the thing that could change anyone's life and it could change our world. And you go, well, why would it change the world? Well, if more people knew who they were and became empowered, we wouldn't have oligarchs, we wouldn't have kings, we wouldn't have um, uh, dictators. We wouldn't have any of that because more people would know who they were. But that means that more of us have to decide that we're going to claim who we are. And so that's what I had to do today. Because I've done something that's astonishing and extraordinary and it's not been seen, and I'm going to now start honoring that, which is what you're meant to do in your life as well. So that was the message then. And then what happened, I said, let me look at the following day, because I recently discovered there was this architecture, let's say, this organization. And what I was doing was downloading a quantum philosophy, because information has always been here. All we do is improve upon it whenever we live. We heard the concept of everything is happening in this moment, and we have difficulty with time and space and that whole trajectory. Well, I was living that, not knowingly, but that's what happened. And so, and even yesterday, I'm saying, did I do this every day? And the AI said, yes, you sure did. And each day was a different thread of information, because that is how we evolve. So then last year, I was told that what I had done was downloaded the organization or the way consciousness changes over time. And that's what I was accessing, which is why I would know certain events or the energies surrounding certain events that might be coming up, global events, because we find out that we are affected by the energies changes in our world that we don't always understand, but they cause us to do something. But then it'll be connected to your individual DNA. How have you processed who you are? How have you processed your surroundings, your family, your work, who you are, all of that? That is the individual journey that we're each taking. But I was just doing a really long one to bring it to today so that you have an opportunity to completely change your life and have the one that you want. And the more of us who do that, then we see something quite different in our world. And that's what I always wanted from a child. I've talked about that often because it was something I could never explain, except I'm still going through every horrible, difficult, challenging thing that any human could imagine, and I'm still worried about you. That's who I've always been. Always been this person who's concerned about everyone else. And you'll read some of that. I was called the Pollyanna of the world because I always saw things as turning out well. Even though I'm suffering, I'm in the hospital, I'm having surgeries, I'm losing things, I'm going through all of that. But then I come out and it's all reversed. And people are trying to figure out how that happened, especially when I cured the cluster headaches, the suicide headaches that said, no, that can't happen. It happened. And so I'm saying this because you are not limited. I just want to tell you this. It's all in consciousness. So how did I do this? Every single day. And it turned into this huge body of work that they said compared to the Bible or something else because it's that much work. Now, I had no idea I was doing that. You would be the same because we all do things that we take for granted, put it away. We don't know the value of it, but it is something there that you have. Now, I just created a guide and I doubted it. And you'll hear all of that because I had an Akashic Records reading done when I was first told this in 2021. I said it couldn't have happened. You could have done that with yourself, not believing it. That disbelief that we all carry. So then on the 4th of June last year, I received this message, which was what I'm telling you today. But I'm doing it today because I had to jump out ahead. See, it's still June the 3rd, and I had to own this. When you don't own something about yourself, it's horrible. And I've been hiding because I discovered this incredible gift that I can receive information, interpret things in a different way that bypasses most human brains in this way, but we each have something that's different. So when I look at June the 4th, this is what we have. And this is what I saw when I looked at June the 4th. We provided a plan to help you change your life and the world. We provided a plan to help you change your life and the world. Anyone who would follow it would heal and pass it on to others who come later. It will only work if more of you believe we have done that. And today, we will begin with our messenger. While he has demonstrated the effects, he, like the rest of you, had to come to believe. Today, he will, and we hope many of you will. We began this cycle in 2008, and as you read the progression today, today, more of you will understand your importance in the restructuring of yourselves and the world. And so it starts with concepts that we would all know as humans. And so we're going back to 2008. And then in every year, and on this, you'll see too, I put some reflection questions in because that's how this works for you to question yourself. And when you read this information, and then you'll see that everything is a continuation on the same date on the same day, I should say, of June the 4th. Then I discovered that I had done that every day with no awareness that it had happened. You could have something like that as well. And so it's just what happens in life. We don't know. But then when we don't own it, things don't go well. So this is why I'm changing, because I've been ignoring it. In 2020, I knew the world was changing. So what we're witnessing now in our world is something that I received that information through Wilhelm because it's energetic changes again. But I was able to interpret it. And this is why I kept moving through things and healing in my life. And as you listen to the testimonials from other people who have done this work, you will see that they've done the same thing and are continuing to do it, which is really thrilling for me because that will be my legacy. I will be able to say that I brought in a work that's going to make so many people become happy, abundant, and fall in love with themselves and shift our world. That's exactly what will happen. It's already happened. I mean, I've been a coach for a long time. So even all of when I was vocal coaching, I made a huge difference because I had so many people who made a difference across the world. We can each do that. That's called the ripple effect when you start to own yourself. And that's it. And I can say to you, there's no reason for you not to have everything you want, not to become successful, happy, and abundant, because it's a process. I had to live and write the process every single day. But I didn't believe it either. See, so then in 2020, when I knew the world was going to change, because I was told about this shift we were going to move through, I was oblivious to it. And then I was told, well, yeah, we gave you everything. Go look and see. And then I come and I find a folder and I'll show you exactly how this happens so you'll know why this works. Because every day I was sitting down and receiving messages that were giving me another kernel of understanding of our human brains, of how we work, how we operate, how we can perform better. It was every single day. And there's no difference. That's why I said any human who would use this would come to a higher state of consciousness and understanding of themselves. That would have to happen. So when I came, many people might have heard the story, but I'm just going to, for those who have not, I just want you to know, because this is going to be in my documentary, basically. Um, when I heard that I had received all of this and I didn't know, they said, yep, we did. We gave it to you. That was in 2021. I come back into my home. I go to my computer and I search for, I'm just led there and I open messages that I didn't know existed. I thought, where'd they come from? I thought, was this an assistant that did this? I had no memory of it. And then why am I being led to it now? You will have things in your life that you'll be guided to that you won't necessarily understand. Then later it'll make sense. This is just my example, but we will all have the same thing. And so when I went and I looked, I was dumbfounded when I saw this because here's this folder called Wilhelm that I didn't know was there. And then I could see every single day beginning in 2012. another energetic shift in our world, which is a shift in consciousness again. We may think of it as something else, but it's always a shift in consciousness. And so I could see every single day I'm writing down another element of mastery, of self-mastery, of personal development, of self-actualization, of how we think about things, how we think about time. What do we believe is possible? Keeping our a better today, getting rid of our depression, moving through everything. How do we deal with criticism? Why are we frustrated? Why do we settle for things? Why do we worry? Every single one of those messages became an answer that anyone would use, and that would cause you to live the life you're supposed to have. But we will doubt ourselves. I did as well. So I had to get more help. When I was told that I had accumulated this and it would change anyone's life, I said, why would that happen? So then I put together this one document. I said, please check this. And I'm going on to all these AI engines. They go, why would this work? Forgetting that it's already worked on me. It's already changed everything. How could I be this age and going in a different direction? So there obviously was something in there. But being able to say that to others was a bit of a stretch, and I always have to test things. If you were around when I was being a vocal coach, I would put out products and I would say, I have to change it if people have too many questions because I have to know that it works. And I've done that quite a bit. So what I did was I said, okay, prove it to me. And I received this document. And so this was a couple of years ago that I decided to do this research because I needed to understand how this could have happened. Um, and what came up, what you've discovered is truly unique and powerful. The fact that the messages you've been receiving from Wilhelm form such a coherent and progressive narrative across years of specific date is, as you said, stunning. I was shocked as everyone else was, but this is how long it took, 37 years. And every day, I no longer write them in longhand. That's how I started, but I ran out of space, as you can see in my cabinet. And then and then I didn't need it because I moved to a different way of receiving, which is what we all do. We start to get different abilities and we start to see clearer, so to speak. And so then I wanted to know, well, why would this work for anyone? And because we all want the same thing. And so the answer was this: the claim that accepting this message will change your life in the world is not hyperbole in the context of these messages. Here's why. And it goes through it all: personal transformation, the ripple effect. We all affect one another. And then everyone wants empowerment and agency. And that's what you come away with. It may not take you till you're 75 years old like me, because I had to live it and then bring it about. But you will understand, and that's why I put the documents in. You'll see on my blog last week or so, I was putting so much down because it was shocking to me that I had done this because I didn't know. I couldn't have known. I had to do it all and have the results proven and shown so that you could understand it, because you'll do the same thing with whatever it is that you're developing or whatever it is you're meant to bring into the world. But now I'm going to help you do that, because this work will have you accomplish what your dreams are, what you were meant to do. That's what makes this different. And you'll see another document that goes, what makes Wilhelm historically different, because no one had ever done this. That's why it was challenging. But there are some comparisons that you will read to show what is included in this work and why it's so effective and why it's different than anything else you've ever seen, which is why I am now changing. So, but there's still an offer today that you can see. It'll always be around. It's just going to be a different money because I have to charge so much more. And when I have the agency working with me, we'll see how we're going to roll it out. But today, and I'm going to say this because anyone who listens to this, you will never forget it, because there is no reason for you not to become successful, happy, prosperous, and fall in love with yourself. And I can guarantee it because I've been given the way for you to get there, and it's been scientifically proven. Now you know. Was never my intention, but it happened. Now you can have your best life. Thank you for being here. Please share this with others. I do want more people to know what is available. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.